In a village nestled between the golden savanna and a deep, ancient forest, there lived a young man named Kofi. Kofi was not the strongest hunter, nor the most gifted storyteller, but he possessed a pride as vast as the sky, and it festered because of one thing: his shadow. While the great warriors cast long, formidable shadows that stretched like giants, and the tall, graceful women had shadows that danced like spirits, Kofi's shadow was ordinary. It was neither long nor short, neither fierce nor gentle. It was simply there, and to Kofi, ordinary was a curse. One evening, as the sun bled orange into the horizon, an old woman with eyes like smoldering coals emerged from the forest. She approached Kofi, who was scowling at his faint silhouette. "You look at the ground, young one," she crackled, "when you should look to the light that creates it." Kofi scoffed. "What use is the light if it gives me this?" he said, kicking at his insignificant shadow. A slow smile spread on the woman's face. "I am called Niame's Weaver," she said, naming the great sky god. "I can weave you a shadow unlike any other. A shadow of a lion, a baobab tree, even a mountain. But such power has a price." "I will pay anything," Kofi declared, his eyes gleaming. "Name it." "The price," she whispered, "is your connection to others. The laughter you share will become faint. The warmth of a touch will feel distant. Your magnificent shadow will be yours, and yours alone. Do you agree?" Blinded by his desire, Kofi nodded without a second thought. "I agree." The old woman clapped her bony hands together, and from the dying light of the sun, she began to pull and weave, crafting a shadow on the ground that was not Kofi's own. It was the shadow of a mighty, silent lion. The village gasped in awe. Children followed him, and warriors nodded in respect. Kofi's chest swelled with pride. He had finally become someone, but soon the price revealed itself. At the evening fire, his friends' jokes seemed to reach him through water. He heard the sounds but felt no joy. His mother's embrace felt like a breeze against a stone. He felt the pressure, but no love. He was wrapped in a magnificent silence, a prisoner in a castle of his own making. His loneliness grew, a cold knot in his stomach that his glorious shadow could not warm. He returned to the forest and found the old woman. "This shadow is not enough," he pleaded. "Weave me a larger one, the shadow of a great elephant. Then surely I will feel complete." The weaver smiled her knowing smile. "The price will be greater. You will forget the sound of your own name on the lips of those who love you." Desperate, Kofi agreed. With the shadow of an elephant, he was feared. People moved from his path, but he was more alone than ever. He could not remember the sound of his mother's voice calling him for supper. Finally, in a frenzy of isolation, he demanded the ultimate shadow, the shadow of the mountain itself. "Weave it," he cried. "I will pay whatever remains." The weaver looked almost sad. "What remains is the last of your light, your own essence. You will become a servant of the silence you have chosen." He agreed. She wove the immense dark shadow of the mountain, and as she did, Kofi felt his very self unravel. He became still and cold, like stone. He could no longer move or speak. He stood at the edge of the village, a human statue, casting a vast, cold darkness that the villagers avoided. Seasons changed. Children played around his still feet, calling him the Stone Man. One day, a little girl, Ama, was chasing a butterfly and stumbled, scraping her knee. She sat weeping in the cold embrace of Kofi's giant shadow. But as she cried, a single warm tear rolled off her cheek and landed on Kofi's stone foot. And in that deepest, darkest silence, Kofi felt it. A tiny pinprick of warmth, a connection. He concentrated all his will, all his remaining spirit on that one point of warmth. He remembered the joy of a shared laugh, the comfort of a touch. He remembered his name. With a great crack that sounded like thunder, the stone shell around his heart shattered. The magnificent mountain shadow dissolved into nothing. And there stood Kofi, himself again, with his own ordinary, humble shadow. He looked down at the little girl, his eyes clear for the first time in years. He helped her up, and his touch was warm. He heard her say, "Thank you," and the sound was the sweetest music. Kofi returned to his village a changed man. He no longer looked at the ground, measuring his darkness. He looked into the faces of his people, sharing their light. Moral lesson.